Well, folks, I've got a great conversation here on the radio about ham radio, and amateur radio operators come from all walks of life, doctors, students, kids, politicians. You may have even noticed a little ham radio happening in that Tim Allen series, Last Man Standing on ABC. He was a fan of ham radios, and that was part of the show there. Here in Mason County, we have a great group of folks, the Amateur Radio Club for Mason County, MC-ARC, and I'll put the links to that in the show notes. They're gearing up for a event this weekend that is not only an opportunity to kind of meet and gather and discuss and talk about ham radio, amateur radio, but also a good opportunity just to make sure all the equipment is working in the case of when an emergency happens. I saw an article just the other day, and we've been talking about it for, as long as I've been around at KMAS, the big one, the subduction zone. We've had tests and these things. And when all else fails, it's these groups of people, the amateur radio, the ham operators, that are going to be able to get a lot of the information out in the event of an emergency. President of the Mason County Amateur Radio Club, Ben Hicks, is with me. Ben, how you doing?
I'm doing fine.
How did I do on that? Was that okay?
Oh, that was great.
So this is a cool thing, and it's really exciting as we were talking, getting ready for this. It's a great opportunity because I know how it is. You emergency plan and you got that binder on your shelf, and then the next thing you know, it's 10 years later, and and you may not have ever even looked at that binder, but this is an opportunity for you to test all your gear, make sure you're able to connect, and inform the public a little bit more about what you do. Is that right?
Oh, that's very good. Yeah. And in fact, probably our greatest threat here in Mason County are either fires or an earthquake.
Yeah.
And both of those may affect power, may affect your internet. And I know I'm pretty well lost if I don't have internet. So radio is a good way to get information passed.
And these are for folks who may live in neighborhoods or communities. Is this where you'll see a house and they'll have a big antenna in their backyard? Is that how kind of this usually plays out?
Well, sometimes. Obviously, if you live in an HOA controlled area, you're limited
Good.
about what kind of antennas,
Yeah, good
what
luck
kind of
on that
antennas
one.
you can stick up. They're not going to want a big antenna and a tower and so forth. So oftentimes in these communities that are HOA, you might not actually notice it, but there'll be a wire stuck between a couple trees. And that's about all you'll see. And you'll wonder what that wire is. But most of the time, you won't even notice the wire unless somebody points it out to you.
Isn't that something? So tell me a little bit about how you got involved in amateur radio and then got to be the president of the Mason County Club. And then we'll talk about this weekend.
Okay. Well, long story short, I got licensed in 1976. And I had a friend who was an amateur radio operator. He convinced me to study the code, to the Morse code, and take a test. And I was able to successfully pass the Morse code. And it should be noted that some people think that Morse code is still used. It is used on ham radio, but it's not used as a qualification to get your license. So you can get a license by studying some questions, and they give you the questions and the answers. And basically, you just can memorize those things because we always say that after you take there, and I should tell you, there's 3 levels of test. One is the first one is technician. It's the very basic information that gives you some privileges. The next one is a general license, and it gives you more privileges. And then as you get into, I'm an extra class, which is the top class, and you pretty much have all of the ham bands. You can do pretty much what you want. What's interesting about ham radio, it's really the only hobby that you can build a radio and put it on the air and not have to get it certified by the FCC.
Man, you should have told me that before I got all involved with KMAS. I'm just kidding, Ben. That's pretty cool. And so the other thing too is that with these different levels, and you're talking about different reach that you're able to get, is that it? So is that kind of continental, intercontinental, and international, or how does that work?
Well, somewhat. With high frequency, or we call it HF, you're able to talk pretty much worldwide, depending on what the band conditions are. And the sun has a lot to do with that band condition, whether we're able to get signals from a far distance. My theory is if I can hear them, I'm going to be able to talk to them because typically we transmit farther than what we can hear with our antennas. So each level gives you more of the band that you can go to. And so a technician has a very small little piece, and then a general has a whole bunch more. Actually, that's the greatest place. And with that, you can use almost any radio. You can use very high frequency radios, VHF radios, and people might know those as like police radios. We have repeaters up just like the police have, and we're able to, use it in our call sign, identify who we are and who we want to talk to. And here in Mason County, we have lots of that kind of stuff. And as a beginner, as a technician, you're able to use those kind of radios, but with high frequency radios, such as talking to Europe or something, you're somewhat limited in a very small area. You can do that, but you can still do that. And the idea is to get you interested in talking to Bangladesh or talking to Australia or New Zealand or wherever. I mean, I get a thrill. I mean, I've been doing this a long time, and every time I make what I think is a rare contact, I get really excited about it.
And so what do you talk about? Do you say, "Hi, it's Ben from Mason County. Is anybody there?" And you hope that somebody is listening at that time and they click on and then it becomes kind of like a pen pal?
Well, sometimes. I mean, if I got on the air, I'd say CQ Alpha Bravo 7 India. My call sign is AB7I. And so I would give my call sign. And if someone was out there and they heard me, they would come back with their call sign. And then we might just exchange that we've talked, that we've made a contact. But other times you get into a conversation about, what kind of equipment are you using? What's it like being in Australia? And so you're able to ask anything. We don't talk about politics, sex, and there's probably something else. Religion. We don't talk about
Religion. It's
those
always
things.
yeah, those three. Well, I
Yeah,
don't talk
those
about
three,
those
because
things
those
either.
three are usually the ones that get you in trouble.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Ben, this is really cool. So, folks are going to be able to go by Sanderson Field this weekend, and you'll see it. It's kind of that frontage road near Kapowson and the Squirrel Soup place. That's where you guys are going to be with a couple stations set up, and folks are going to come in. Groups are going to be there as well.
That's true. And we're going to have the emergency vehicle there from Mason County as well. I'm a member of that group, but I'm going to be operating the club station and so forth. But we're going to have a couple stations set up. You can see how they're operating and so forth. It's a relaxed environment that we're in. But people who are not licensed, who would like to just come down and take a look, if they want to get on the air and talk, I'll let them talk to whoever they want to talk to. I'll sit there right alongside of them. We'll exchange call signs, and you can just talk with whoever's out there. The benefit of Saturday and Sunday, it starts at 11 o'clock on Saturday morning and ends on Sunday morning at 11 o'clock. And throughout those 24 hours, we're able to maintain stations, and we will be there the whole 24 hours. So we'll be talking at nighttime other than maybe getting some rest. Um, uh, but that's an opportunity for someone who's curious about it and just wants to know more. We've got an education area set up. We've got pamphlets we can hand out to you, and we would encourage you to get licensed. We'll help you get licensed.
Once again, when all else fails, and it says it right here on the site, when all else fails, there's amateur radio, and that is available. We've talked about it with well, you guys probably did a lot with the Deckerville fire uh back in 17 or whenever that
Yes,
was.
yes.
And I remember some of those subduction zone trainings that were happening at the port of Shelton, in again in preparation for basically what you guys are prepping for all the time. Talk to me a little bit about how often the group meets.
Well, we meet once a month. We have some informal times. We'll just get together and have breakfast or something together. But typically, it's just the second Saturday of every month we meet at the Public Utility Building. They're just north of the airport. And we have a formal meeting, and you don't have to be licensed to come to the meeting. You don't have to be a part of the membership or anything. You're more than welcome. Yeah, that's about it. I mean, I will to give you an example. 2 weeks ago, we helped out the emergency communications people with manpower. They had a mock drill where it was a disaster preparedness, where aircraft flew in from Boeing Field and from Walla Walla with food items that were delivered to the food bank here in Mason County. And that was all about, there's a disaster, we've got to get food to an area. That's what it's all about. So all of our groups, we all work together with search and rescue and everyone else, and we just want to try to have a happy ending to an event.
That's really cool, Ben. That's really cool. Well, it's this weekend. And then is this kind of like also, so if you're going to be there 24 hours reaching out to people, I'm guessing this is a worldwide weekend event?
Actually, it's just North America.
Oh, it's just North
We
America. Okay.
will be talking to anyone who can hear us out there. But the point system, I guess, if you're in you're in a contest, but not really in a contest.
Yeah.
So the point system is really geared for Canada and the United States. And that includes Puerto Rico and some of the other um, places that are still US.
That makes a lot of sense to gamify this so you can make sure, because then you know for sure you've got all your equipment, you're ready to go when the event happens.
Yeah,
Ben
and this
Hicks.
is
Oh yeah,
and
go
this
ahead.
is well, and this is happening, throughout the nation. And so sometimes when you get on the air, you'll call and call, and you won't get a response. I'm telling you, on Saturday and Sunday morning, there will be no shortage of people to talk to
People will be
because
there.
every club is out, everybody that's got it. And fortunately, the rules are allowing it so that if amateurs can't get to a site that like we're doing off site, they can operate from their home and get points and so forth. Because we have a lot of handicapped amateurs
Sure.
that the radio is their method of communicating to the world. It's the kind of their avenue of communication. And so they can't get out. They don't have the freedom of movement, maybe. So they can operate from their home. And we'll be talking to them as well.
You can go to the local Mason County website, mc-arc.org. I'll put that link into the show notes, or the National Association is ARRL.org. I'm talking with President of the Mason County Amateur Radio Club, Ben Hicks, about this upcoming weekend's fun 24-hour event. A great way to learn about ham radio, learn a little bit ways that it is a necessity in emergency preparedness and emergency response. Ben, thanks for your time.
Well, thank you very much. We hope to see a lot of people out there.